What's up guys, it's J&A Exotics and welcome back. Shake my hand. How you doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made the custom backgrounds for my enclosures. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Hey, before we begin, if you guys want to support the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. I also post my channel link right around here for you guys to watch more content if you'd like. Thank you. I start off by taking measurements for the back piece first. I measure the height and the width. I then take those numbers and mark them on a piece of insulation board. I make my marks and use a level to make a straight line connecting the marks. Once the lines are made, I now cut them out. You can use a razor knife, but I'm choosing to use a multi-tool. I cut the two pieces out following the lines. Now, I dry fit the two pieces. Once I made sure the back pieces fit, I now measured for the side pieces. Again, I follow the same process to mark out and cut the next four pieces. I then dry fit them and made sure they fit, just like I did with the first piece. I trace a line on the back panel where the side panel will meet. This is so I don't carve out where the two backgrounds will fit together. As I did with my last build video, I'm using a wire brush and a drill to carve out the grooves into the foam. To keep the workspace clean, I have a shop vac with me, and I vacuum as needed. I carve out these grooves with intentions of making them look like rocks, branches, and vines. Once I finish carving the pieces, I use the heat gun to give the foam a more finished look. The heat gun will get rid of the wire wheel marks. I like to heat up the deep grooves first. I feel like they hold their shape better. Then I just give the rest of the foam a once over with the heat gun. Now, I'm going to be painting the background pieces. I'm going to be using the dry lock method. First, I take dry lock and mix it with non-toxic acrylic paint. I'm using brown, black, and a lighter shade of brown to get my base coat color. Once I mix it up, I put my first layer of dry lock on. While the background's dried, I ended up making the drainage mechanism. For this, I'm recycling prescription pill bottles. First, I drilled through the bottom of the bottles with a 1/4 inch drill bit. This is just big enough for airline tubing to fit into. Now I'm going to be making the slots where water can pass through. I find that the easiest way to manipulate thick plastic is with heat. So instead of using a razor knife, I'm going to be heating up a small screwdriver. I chose to use a screwdriver because when I heat the metal portion of it, the handle will stay cool and I wouldn't burn myself. I then took the heated screwdriver and gently guided it back and forth where I wanted the holes to be. The holes are big enough to let water through, but they're small enough to not let any of the drainage layer in. Remember to keep the cap of the bottle, and I'll show you why later. These pill bottles will be used so I can siphon water out of the bottom of my tanks. I don't have room for a bulkhead. Now that the backgrounds are dry, I add some color to the backgrounds to give them depth. I used a combination of greens and browns mixed with dry lock. Again, I want the backgrounds to look like rocks, branches, and vines. Now that the background pieces are dry, I'll be siliconing them to the back of the tank so they stay in place. I apply silicone to the back of the pieces. Now I stick them to the tank and firmly hold. I secure the back panel first, then I do the sides. I repeated this process for all 6 pieces. Once the silicone cured, I started to make the hardscape of the enclosure. I thought it would be awesome if I made both enclosures almost mirror each other. I chose what pieces of cork round I wanted to use and I spray foamed them into place. The pieces I chose fit almost perfectly where I wanted them to. Just to be safe, I used another piece of cork round to hold them up. I'll remove that after the spray foam dries. I then spray foam planters into place. I fill the planter with paper towels so the foam doesn't fill the planter. I only had one planter cup, so I took the cap of the spray foam and I drilled holes into the bottom of it. This will work just the same. Once the spray foam cured, I carved it out using a razor knife. Once I was happy with the way it looked, I used the same dry lock mixture as before to paint it. I then added a drainage layer and a substrate divider. For the drainage layer, I'm using clay hydro balls. Make sure you don't knock your pill bottle over when you fill in the bottom of the tank. I make sure the hydro balls are flush and even with the pill bottle. Now I add the substrate divider. For this, I'm using garden weed barrier. I cut the edges longer so they can fold up onto the sides of the tank. This will prevent the substrate from getting down into the drainage layer. I also cut a hole for the pill bottle to poke through. Now, it was time to add the substrate. For this, I'll be using leftover substrate from my last build, along with Josh's Frog's ABG mix. I start by adding substrate around the edges first, and I work my way to the middle. I'll also add some established substrate from the animals' enclosures. This will have beneficial bacteria and microfauna already in it to give the tank a jump start. Now the fun part, it's time to plant the tanks. I'll be using golden pothos, an arrowhead plant, dwarf umbrella plants, and a croton. I bought these plants from a local nursery, and I made sure they weren't treated with chemicals or pesticides. I still washed the roots of the plant and the plant itself in distilled water, just as an extra precautionary. Now that the tank's planted, I added some sphagnum moss and leaf litter. After I gave both tanks a good misting, they're now complete. I'm going to let these tanks grow in, and then I'll be adding the animals into their new homes. Both of these tanks are just shy of 20 gallons in volume. Overall, I had a lot of fun doing this project, and I'm very satisfied with the way the tanks came out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you want to support the channel and subscribe, I'll post that right around here. Or if you just want to watch more content, I'll post that right around here. Thank you.